In an earlier video, we walked through creating the MoleMash game using AppInventor. We're going to use where we left off there as our starting point and make some changes to the application and how it calculates the score and how users win or lose the game. To start off with, I'm going to go over to the palette, and under User Interfaces, I'm going to pick a notifier and drag that over to the screen. I'll use this for notifying the user when they hit the win or lose score that we decide on. Now over on the blocks, when a user attempts to touch the mole and they miss, previously it had no impact on their score. But let's make it so they actually lose points when that happens. To do that, I'm going to go over to the canvas and I'm going to grab when the canvas is touched. This puzzle piece actually comes with a variable called touched any sprite, which will be true if they happen to touch the mole and false otherwise. So I specifically am interested to know when that's false. So I'm going to go over to control and pick an if block. If touched any sprite is false, then I want to decrease the score. So the score will become its current value minus 1. And when that happens, I'm going to want to update the score label with my handy procedure. And there we go. Each time I touch the mole, I'll get a point. Each time I touch the canvas and miss the mole, I will lose a point. Now each time this happens, I'll be updating the score label, which I also have in a procedure. This would be a convenient place for me to look at what the score is and decide if the user has won or lost. I'm actually going to rename this procedure to just update score, because it's going to update the label and do a couple of other things for us as well. So in this case, I can say if, I'm going to do a mathematical comparison, if the current score is, let's say, 10, then you've won the game. In which case, we want to do two things. We want to notify you that you've won and reset the game. So the notification will be done using the notifier. I'm going to use the show alert block. To show a message to the user. And then I'm going to set the global score back to 0. Just like that. And I'm going to have a similar block that's for losing the game. So I'm actually going to just duplicate that entire if statement to create a new one, except this time I'm going to say if the score is equal to -10, I'll show a less than enthusiastic message and reset the score. One thing that's we'll need to make a small modification for is you'll notice that we update the text with the score and then we reset it back to 0. If we were to leave it like this, then the customer or the user, when they lost the game, would still see the value of 10 or -10 on the score label because we're changing to 0 after we update the label. So we actually want to reorder these blocks slightly so that updating the label is the last thing that we do. So with those changes in place, the user can play the game. When they get a score of 10, gives them a successful message, and resets back to 0. Or if they're not so hot at this game, they get a less than positive message and the score resets. That's all there is to it. My name is Lee Adcock. Thanks for coding with me.